like LeBron getting involved in the Jayson Tatum controversy?
Skip, I don't have a problem with him getting involved. He's offering support, and nobody knows what it's like to be criticized more than LeBron James, especially at a very young age and still getting criticized heavily now as he's about to turn 38 in about 5 months. But, Skip, I think the criticism was warranted. Jayson Tatum didn't play well. And as LeBron mentioned in the episode of The Shop, he had a tremendous regular season. That's why the criticism was even more harsh. Given how well he played, he was first team All-NBA. Criticism is a part of the game. And this notion, because I wasn't the man in the arena, I'm not allowed to criticize what I saw. Jayson Tatum didn't play well. I don't think the criticism was unfairly. I can see if the Boston Celtics had lost this in 6, or they lost it in 7, and Jayson Tatum gave me 34 points a game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Okay, they lost, but he played his ass off. You tell me the game in which Jayson Tatum, you left that game like, man, Jayson Tatum balled out of his mind. No, that's the way it works. Athletes have got to stop thinking, because I wasn't in the arena, I didn't play baseball, I didn't play basketball, I didn't play football, I'm not allowed to offer a critique. So if that's the case, so what can we talk about? You guys talk about football all the time. You guys talk about other sports all the time, but if somebody offers a critique of your play, you get upset. Where are we going with this? So only basketball players can offer opinions and critiques of basketball players. Only football players can offer critiques and analysis of football players. That's such an utterly ridiculous statement. And I got no problem with LeBron sticking up for him. LeBron's it's kind of like what I went through in when we played San Antonio. But Golden State wasn't saying
2007 finals. Yeah.
First of all, as we speak right now, some people might, but Steph Curry wasn't Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was at his prime. Tim Duncan was hell right then. See, that was his sweet spot, Skip. Tim Duncan was like that. Okay, and you had Parker, and you had Ginobili. All guys that had won Finals MVP. They got one guy. I mean, come on, Iggy ain't the same. Iggy's not the same guy. So I get it. But Jayson Tatum didn't play well. And people offer criticisms and critiques of Jayson Tatum not playing well. That's not somebody. Guys now, if you critique a guy's play on the court or on the field, they think you're attacking them personal. No, I don't give a damn about you personally. I'm talking about your play on the court. I'm talking about your play on the football field. That's what I'm attacking. You didn't play well. Guys, stop this. This is absurd. I mean,
Okay, so I'm hearing two sides to this.
No, Skip.
You're saying you don't have a problem, then you have a big problem.
No, I know, Skip. I don't have a problem with him interjecting himself into the conversation, saying, look, I understand it. But to say, because the guys, you weren't in the arena, he didn't play to his standard. That's why the criticism. Because we see what Jayson Tatum's standard is. As a first-team All-NBA player, as an All-Star, we see the standard in which he set. So therefore, we feel he didn't meet that standard. Therefore, we feel we're allowed to offer a critique or criticism of said play. But my pushback is, Skip, is that when the athletes feel that because you didn't play at the highest level, who are you to judge me? That's my pushback.
Okay, and I 1,001% concur with that pushback. And by the way, all of a sudden, the biggest critic in sports has become LeBron James on The Shop. They got to rename it. It's not The Shop anymore. It's The Rant. No, seriously. They just tee up LeBron, and he just goes off.
Or LeBron talks.
Huh? Well, seriously, they ask him the tee-up questions. Well, what do you think of this? And they sort of lob up softballs for him, and then he just hits it out of the park.
Right.
And every week he'll have 3 or 4 rants, and they're sensational. He's great at it. But he's criticizing also. Okay. Now, I got some issues going on here, and I'm going to start with this. The most obvious issue, LeBron, it's almost like KD wanted to be embraced by the Golden State Warrior Nation and by the Steph lovers, and it was never going to happen.
Right.
Well, LeBron wants to be embraced by Hollywood and the Lakers and Laker Nation. There's one thing you can't do. You can't suddenly have the back of a Boston Celtic. It's an age-old rivalry, and it just doesn't feel right.
Right.
No Laker fan, diehard, is going to love this. It's like you're defending him.
Yeah.
Even if your criticism is valid, you just don't cross that line because he doesn't deserve your support. He's a Celtic.
They want you to criticize him too.
Yeah, right? Don't do that. Don't go over there, because if you think you're having a hard time getting embraced by Laker Nation right now, go have the back of a Boston Celtic, and they're going to say, what the hell, LeBron? What are you doing?
Right.
What are you thinking? Okay, then here's my other issue. LeBron wants to be everybody's big brother in the game. It's the classic case of I want to be close with everybody. I want to keep my friends close, and as the old mafioso cliche went, and your enemies closer.
Right.
He wants to be too close to everybody to where there are no rivalries, there's no animosity, there's no competitive fire between people. We're all in this together. Well, it's un-Jordan. That's the opposite of Michael Jordan. And so I don't want to hear that again. I set my bar up to the Jordan standards. So when you say he's greater than Jordan, I say, but you can't do this. You can't be Mr. Nice Guy to everybody. I'm going to have Jayson Tatum's back on this. Well, you don't need to have his back.
You're right, but Skip, here's the thing. Guys now, as opposed to like when Jordan and Magic and Bird, these guys do business together. They have businesses.
Unbelievable. It scares me. It horrifies me.
Production company, be it real estate, no matter what it is, these guys have done business.
It deflates me because it takes away the bedrock competitive balance of the NBA. It just doesn't feel right anymore because, listen, these guys in the past, it was for blood, and you know it was.
Yeah, of course.
And Jordan didn't want to get close to anybody. He didn't want to do business. He didn't need to do a business with anybody. He was his own mega business.
Yeah, he was a brand.
Right, and so he didn't need any help on the brand. So now we go back to Jayson Tatum. And to your point, if I might amplify a little bit, Jayson Tatum through the playoffs had 100 turnovers. That led the whole. Obviously, they played the most games along with Golden State, but that was 26 more turnovers than second place on the turnover list, which was his teammate Jaylen Brown. So he had 26 more turnovers than Jaylen Brown, 100 total to just run away with. It's why I started calling him Jason Turnover, because every night it was 6 or 7, 6 or 7. It's hard to win that way.
Yes.
You kept coming in because you picked Boston. You'd say, they just have to hang on to the basketball.
Right.
You have to protect it. You have to honor it and value the possessions, and they didn't.
That's why they ended up going 7 games with Milwaukee, 7 games with Miami, because they wouldn't stop turning the ball over.
Thank you. All right, just a few, if I may cherry pick a few games just to demonstrate what was going on with Jayson Tatum. He would have a sensational game, and then he would follow it up with a Game 3 at Milwaukee in which he shot 4 of 19, 0 for 6 from 3. And then Game 1 at Miami, he had 7 turnovers and shot 2 for 9 from 3. And then Game 3, which was at home, he shot 3 for 14 with 6 turnovers. And then Game 1 at Golden State, he shot 3 for 17. And then Game 4 at Boston, he had 6 turnovers and shot 8 of 23 in the closeout Game 6. He shot 6 of 18 with 5 turnovers. It's just, it was one of the all-time roller coaster rides for a player who might be a baby in age at 24, only 24 back in March, I think he turned. He's 5 years in the league. At some point, you have to say, look, you've been doing this for 5 years.
Yes.
You can't, the honeymoon's over, the baby stage is over. If you're in it 5 years, LeBron was in 4 years when he faced the Spurs in 2007. He was still only 22 years of age. So that's more baby-ish to me than this is. But at some point, you have to say, Jayson, it's time to grow up and be the man that you should be off your regular season, and he just was not. Well, it's highly criticizable to me, and it's not out of bounds.
Right. I don't believe it is either. And we're not attacking the guy personal. We're attacking his play on the court. And Skip, and if you look at it, these numbers are eerily similar. LeBron James against the San Antonio Spurs in 2007 was 22, 7, and 7. Jayson Tatum, 21.5, 7, and 7. Okay. So he sees the stark similarities. But LeBron, they criticize you too. They criticize it like, well, you didn't play against the Spurs like you had played in the regular season and like you had played through the playoffs. Do we remember talking about how Jayson Tatum had given it to Kevin Durant in that first round? How he stared Giannis down, eye to eye, dropped 47 in the game 6 to get it back to Boston?
Okay. My only issue with LeBron in 2007 was he was 4 years in the league, and when he stepped onto the floor for the NBA Finals, he was the most talented player on the floor, including Tim Duncan.
Yes.
He just was.
Yes.
And so I thought he would pull off one win at home, just one of the two at home, but he couldn't.
Right.
But he was up against a really good team, and he said, I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
Okay? I know what the Spurs' game plan was. No dunks, make him shoot threes.
Yes.
That was it. Period. Don't, especially at home, do not let him dunk the basketball because it will detonate the crowd.
Right.
So nothing at the rim. Everybody goes to the rim and says, you cannot come here.
Right.
And they pulled that off. I'm not sure he dunked in the whole series. They were masterful in that one.
They did a great job.
Once they started to run into him in Miami, he was getting loose more.
And they did a great job of building a wall. They built the wall for LeBron before they built the wall for Giannis. Okay. And you had Bruce Bowen, Skip, who was an all-NBA defensive player, first team defensive player. You had Tim Duncan, one of the preeminent big men.
A friend of mine's just nasty on the court.
Yeah.
He knew every trick in the book. He was difficult to deal with.
Yes.
Okay, now back to the idea about the man in the arena, who you have to have been there to know what it is. Just for the record, I know I'm going to go off topic here just a little bit. The guys who are starting to build these teams didn't even play college basketball.
Thank you.
Okay, like R.C. Buford played, he was a walk-on college football player at Oklahoma State. Sam Presti played a little bit of D3 college basketball, but it was D3. And that Zach Kleiman, who won the Executive of the Year for building Memphis, and I thought he hit on the draft. They are loaded. Mm-hmm. It's all going to be about your star. So Ja's got to grow up a little bit more. But I'm just saying that team is positioned to do great things. And it's because of the roster he has built. I'm pretty sure he didn't even play high school basketball. I can't find any record of it.
Right.
Okay. So he's just, it's all statistical. It's all second level. It's all analytics based. And somehow it's working for those guys. Right. Okay. Now back to LeBron refers to the Teddy Roosevelt quote. It's the man in the arena. I'm going to read just a few parts of it because it's an all-time great. It's like Rudyard Kipling-esque. But it's, for those who don't remember, Teddy Roosevelt was president of the United States and was a war hero.
Yes.
It is not the critic who counts, he wrote, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who actually is in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who does actually strive to do the deeds, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Skip.
Okay, I got it. But I get the gist of the point. Teddy Roosevelt saying, go in the arena. Go down there and see how it feels. Go fight.
Yeah.
Okay?
But I don't want any credit for what Jayson Tatum did or didn't do. I'm offered an analysis of what I saw. Under this premise, Skip, I can't say what is a good movie. I can't say if he or she did a great job acting because I'm not an actor. I'm not in that arena. So just imagine how foolish that is when people say, Shannon, when they say stick to politics, or because I've never run for public office. You see how foolish that sounds?
The most famous critics ever, Vincent Canby or Siskel and Ebert.
Yes.
Richard Roper.
Did they act?
Did they act? Have they acted one second in their lives? No.
No. The people that started Rotten Tomatoes and all these companies that tell you the movie, no.
It's just a compilation of all the critics, right?
And that's my thing. And look, so I'm not allowed to, I can't watch something over the course of 30 plus years and have an opinion. The guy played good. No, he didn't play good. He turned the ball over too much. Man. So I'm not allowed to do that because, well, I'm going to do it. I ain't never been, I've been in a few arenas, but I've made in the basketball, and I know it upsets the basketball players, but I'm going to comment. If you don't want me to comment in a negative manner, play better, and I won't.
Okay. What do I always say? If you tell me you went up to some of the theaters that we both frequent, and you saw whatever, Top Gun or Jurassic Park or Elvis or whatever you saw, the first thing I'm going to ask you is it any good?
Right.
and I'm going to value your opinion of it, and I'm
Right.
going to go home and tell Ernestine, Shannon didn't like it that much.
Right. And so
Did Shannon act? No.
think about that. That's basically what they're saying. You're not in an arena. I'm not taking no credit for what Jayson Tatum played good. I'm not taking any credit for when he plays bad. I'm offering an opinion based on what I saw through my years of watching the games and watching Jayson Tatum play just this year. And forget if I knew Jayson Tatum played 5 years in the league. Just by watching him play this year and throughout the playoffs, what he did in the playoffs up until the finals, it didn't coincide. It didn't match. So therefore, Jayson Tatum didn't play well. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about the man personally. I don't know about him personally and don't really care. I'm talking about what you did on the court. And plus, Skip, first of all, nobody really thought that the Cleveland Cavaliers was going to beat the San Antonio Spurs. Nobody.
No, nobody.
And they didn't come close to winning the game.
No.
There were some people out there that had the Boston Celtics picked to win this series. And they, if I'm not mistaken, they were up 2-1 at one point in time.
That is a factual statement. Okay, I'm going to end with 2 quick points. Number one, I asked LeBron James, if critics are so irrelevant, if they're so out of the know, then why do you pay so much attention to them, right? Shouldn't you just ignore? And number two, I would like to think that you and I are in the arena every day.
Yes.
Because I can only speak for myself here. I would dare somebody to go find somebody in the media business more criticized than I am.
Right.
I just ignore it because it's irrelevant to me. It
Right.
doesn't help me. I gain nothing from reading
Right.
the criticism. I don't learn from it. I get it. I welcome everybody's ability to criticize, but we do go in the arena to where our opinions are challenged from across the table every single day.
Yes.
So at least we do this much.
So
right?
my thing is, Skip, so if we're not allowed to criticize, why are you allowed to criticize us? You've never sat across on a debate table and debated somebody.
Nope.
So why are you allowed to criticize our criticism of said player?
And
What do you do?
And I believe you'll concur with this. I don't think this is nearly as easy as it looks. If
No.
you do it 5 days a week, week after week,
Exactly.
it's relentlessly
Yes.
difficult to prep for it and execute it and take on the onslaught coming from across the table.
Skip, I've talked to a lot of guys that played basketball or played football, and they reach out to me and they ask me, okay, it's not as easy as you make it look. He says, because to be able to keep your train of thought while listening to said person, comment on what he says, keep your train of thought, and say what you need to say and go back and forth is not as easy. So they ask me, well, how do you do it? How do you study? How do you prep? And I was like, well, this is how I do it. And this is what I do. And I take a mental note of this and I take a mental note of that. So it's not. And people, a lot of guys, ex-professional athletes that want to get on this side of the camera now, as opposed to being in their said sport, ask me how to do certain things. So for me, and I don't have a problem helping somebody. I've never, I always give them my honest opinion of what I think they can do. And if I've seen them before, I say, well, I think you can do this a little better. I think you need to take this approach. But I just these guys now, today's guys,
Yep.
the criticism, man.
Okay, let me vouch for you on that one last point. Nobody I've ever competed with in this arena prepares harder than you do, just for the record. I will vouch.
I appreciate that.
Gentlemen, you both do an excellent job. You eat, sleep, breathe this show, and that's why it looks easy. It isn't at all. And I love getting to work with you.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.